I think we've all heard the question, what happened before the Big Bang? And most people will tell you that it doesn't make any sense to even ask the question, because if the Big Bang was the beginning of the universe, then what came before it isn't known to man and can never be discovered. But others will say that there had to have been something that caused the Big Bang, some kind of trigger that set off the beginning of everything. And still others will tell you that the Big Bang Theory is just that, a theory, and that maybe our universe, the way we know it, is just a blip in time inside an infinitely larger multiverse. What do you think? Well, whatever your beliefs, today's video will touch upon all these ideas and more, exploring the latest findings from scientists around the world who are boldly going where no one has gone before. So sit back and get ready to have your mind blown as we answer the extraordinary question, what was there before the Big Bang? There are many different theories out there about what could have possibly come before the Big Bang. Some are more credible than others, but all of them are fascinating in their own way. One popular theory among astronomers is that there was nothing before the Big Bang, that the event itself was the first and only thing that ever happened in the universe. This might sound crazy at first, but stick with me here. According to this idea, space, time, matter, and energy all came into existence during the Big Bang. In other words, the universe literally created itself. This is often referred to as a self-creating universe, or an eternal universe. And it's based on the idea that the laws of physics don't apply to the Big Bang itself. Instead, they were created at that moment. It's like asking, what's north of the North Pole? The concept just doesn't make sense. That is because the Big Bang wasn't located anywhere in space and it wasn't preceded by any amount of time. Time began at the Big Bang. Therefore, it wouldn't make sense to ask what came before it. Okay, so that's one idea. But what's the evidence for it? Well, there isn't really any direct evidence. Instead, this idea is mostly based on mathematics. Many physicists are able to use equations to describe the behavior of the universe. These equations work really well when applied to things that already exist. However, they break down at the Big Bang. That's because they're based on the laws of physics, which we believe came into existence at the Big Bang. So you can't use them to describe what happened before it. Because of this, many physicists are searching for a theory of everything, a set of equations that can describe how the universe began. This would essentially be a law of nature that applies to the Big Bang itself. It would be incredibly useful for figuring out what happened before the Big Bang. However, despite decades of research, no one has been able to come up with such a theory. Some believe that it's impossible to do. That's because the Big Bang was a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature. Our current theories just can't describe a singularity. They break down. This means that according to our current understanding of the laws of physics, we can't know what happened before the Big Bang. But not everyone is satisfied with this answer. Many people believe that there must have been something that caused the Big Bang, some kind of trigger that set off the beginning of the universe. In order to understand this idea, let's take a step back and look at the Big Bang itself. According to the best data we have from NASA's WMAP project, the universe was created with a burst of light. We call this the cosmic microwave background radiation. It's basically the oldest light in the universe, and it's what we see when we look back in time 13.7 billion years. Before the Big Bang, however, it's believed that the universe was in a state of extreme heat and density. Everything that exists today was packed into a space smaller than an atom. Then, suddenly, for reasons unknown, this tiny point exploded outward. As the universe expanded, everything cooled and began to spread apart. Eventually, stars, galaxies, and planets formed, and life began. But what caused this explosion? Well, that's the question that physicists have been trying to answer for decades. Some believe that the Big Bang was caused by quantum fluctuations in a pre-existing void. Others believe that it was the result of a collision between two universes. And still others believe that it was simply the result of chance. However, none of these ideas have been proven, and the truth is, we may never know what really happened. However, there is another idea that I find fascinating. What if the Big Bang wasn't a beginning at all? What if it was just another event in an endless series of bangs? In other words, what if our universe is just one of many that are constantly being created and destroyed? This idea is known as the oscillating universe theory, and it's based on the belief that the universe doesn't have a beginning or an end. Instead, it simply bounces back and forth between periods of expansion and contraction. During expansion, the universe gets bigger and bigger. During contraction, it gets smaller and smaller. Eventually, all the matter in the universe would be pulled back together, and the Big Bang would happen again, restarting the cycle. This theory is similar to a heartbeat. The universe expands like a breath is taken in, and then contracts like a breath is let out. This theory is supported by some observations that we've made about the universe. For example, the cosmic microwave background radiation seems to be perfectly symmetrical. This suggests that our universe may have been created from a pre-existing state of higher symmetry. Additionally, the fact that the universe is expanding at a rate that's faster than the speed of light suggests that it may have been created from a singularity. However, the oscillating universe theory isn't without its problems. It doesn't explain why the universe would bounce back and forth between periods of expansion and contraction. Additionally, it doesn't explain why the Big Bang would happen again and again. Despite these problems, however, the oscillating universe theory is an intriguing idea that's worth exploring. It suggests that our universe is just one of many that are constantly being created and destroyed, and it gives us a glimpse into the amazing discoveries that may be made in the future. This brings us to the final idea for today, the multiverse. This is probably the most controversial idea of all because it's not something that we can observe directly. Instead, it's a mathematical construct that allows physicists to explain some of the observations that we've made about the universe. Basically, the multiverse is a hypothetical group of multiple universes. These universes can interact with each other in various ways, or they can be completely separate. There are many different types of multiverses, but the most popular type is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This theory essentially says that every time a quantum event occurs, the universe splits into multiple universes, each representing a different outcome. For example, if a quantum particle goes through a wall, some of the particles go through the wall and some don't. This means that the universe splits into two. In one universe, the particle goes through the wall, and in the other, it doesn't. If this happens again and again, eventually you end up with a universe for every possible outcome. This means that there are infinite universes in the multiverse. Each universe contains a different version of reality. In some universes, you may have made different decisions that led you down a different path in life. In other universes, you may never have been born at all. While the multiverse theory is highly speculative, it's an intriguing idea that's worth exploring. It suggests that our universe may not be the only one that exists, and that there may be other universes with different laws of physics, or even different versions of ourselves. While the multiverse theory is highly speculative, it's an intriguing idea that's worth exploring. It suggests that our universe may not be the only one that exists, and that there may be other universes with different laws of physics or even different versions of ourselves. So, what do you think? Do you believe that there was something before the Big Bang? Or do you think that our universe simply created itself? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.